everyone, welcome back to another episode of Shrey FC. And today I'm so happy to be back with Controversial Football Talks, episode number 3, a series I've been ready to make, a really enjoyable series, always some great questions appear. I'm going to grill the guest here today with 3 questions. And don't worry, he's a Liverpool fan and I will grill him to absolute end here. I won't stop until I get an absolute definite answer that why he choose the particular option. So please welcome Uday from Loudmouth Show. So how are you doing, brother?
Thank you so much, Shrey, for such a warm welcome. I think, I was looking forward to this episode. I got the minutes of what we're about to discuss and how grilling it can be. It'll be nerve wracking and exciting to know what happens ahead. But looking forward to the series of yours and looking forward to the guests who come on your show in the coming episodes as well.
Thank you so much, mate. And I'm telling you, you will be on show for a long, long time. You will see me and Uday collaborating for really great shows now because
Yeah,
he's going to be regular. I will be regular with him as well. A great guy. Do follow his Instagram channel, Loudmouth Show. Not tough to remember. The Loudmouth Show. A very easy thing to remember. Great content of football up there. And I'll absolutely tell you to go follow its fantastic page. So, starting off with the first topic today. And today we have got some amazing, amazing topics to cover up. And here, very hello to Almighty Blues FC. Great content. Do go and subscribe to his channel, Almighty Blues FC. And now the
yeah.
first question for today. With everyone has watched the thumbnail, they will know how great some questions are here. But I won't start with the toughest one. I won't start with the most exciting one. That will be at the end. So stay till the end. So the first question I'm going to ask you is a bit less controversial, but it's going to be a bit more difficult for you. And that is Jordan Henderson
Ooh,
versus Fernandinho. And with no City fan here, I'm going to be on the side where I will give my opinion on who is the better one and will
yep.
grill you on who you think is the better or worse one. So starting with you, Uday, who is the one you'll prefer among this and why?
Look, we are comparing two footballers who had successes during the same era and during a separate era as well. We've seen that their age difference is also massively, the number is massive. So I think if we compare how Jordan Henderson has been a modern day leader, we look up to leaders like Jordan Henderson because he's been the one who's been captaining the team. The team has been performing well under him. Um, and no player has had any backroom drama. There's no drama which has happened um, in Liverpool since the time he has taken the leadership from Steven Gerrard. Um, Again, when we talk about Fernandinho, amazing master class. He's the next. You can call him godly when it comes to the defensive mid position. Um, Again, he's a positional player. You can call him a runner. You want to call him whatever you want to. He's a box to box. He's given his box to box effort during his peak. And obviously, he's 36, 37 now, and he's still doing an amazing job of playing as a center half at times, playing as a defensive mid, not starting very regularly for City. But overall, if you look at this, I would still give it to Jordan Henderson. You want to call this the Liverpool bias, you want to call it whatever you want to call it, but it's a fact that under Henderson's leadership, they've won more accolades. The Liverpool team under Klopp has progressed massively. Under Henderson, most of the players have gone to the PFA team of the season as well. Under Henderson, we have seen Mohamed Salah has won the Golden Boots. Trent has won the PFA Players' Choice of the Year. He himself has won the Writers Award in the UK. He's won the PFA Leader of the Year award as well. So I think modern era leader, everyone looks up to Henderson. He has evolutionized his game in terms of from being a holding midfielder with with Steven Gerrard to becoming an attacking holding midfielder where he can actually go ahead, switch his role with the fullbacks. He rotates a lot nowadays. He's been doing this since the past 3-4 seasons. He's been connecting plays. He's been providing key passes inside the box, which Fernandinho is not known for. Fernandinho is known for taking out lines of press. He's known for being a good defensive, addition to the team. He's known for those long and short passes that we have seen, those incisive passes that come from the build-up. So he's known to initiate a build-up. But Jordan Henderson has been in the fulcrum of creating and also scoring many goals in the past couple of seasons. and I think his credibility is viable enough for the performances that he's given. In fact, it is a testament to the leadership that even United supporters talk about nowadays. Knowing that a player like Harry Maguire is their leader is there's no comparison when you talk about such players to Jordan Henderson's and Fernandinho's. Um, Again, it's very tough to compare both of them, man. I think Fernandinho has not been given the leadership role at all in the club. He's a leader on the pitch, but he's not your leader in the room, in the back room, amongst the board members. He's not representing the club in a way. It's always been other club players like David Silva. It's been Aguero when he was there. It was Company when he was there. So and Bernardo Silva also has a say in this. So it's more of a cohesive team leadership that comes into play when it comes to City rather than an individual leader who's been there. Um, yeah,
So I
I
think
think on skills and ability, Fernandinho overall, but if you take leadership, yeah, exactly. I actually agree with Almighty Blues here because I haven't stepped onto the skills part yet. I'm just talking about the leadership part. But what are your thoughts on the leadership part?
I think overall, as I said, I'm going to be against you for some points, but overall, in the end, I'll give my opinion. So I think, first of all, a bit against you. I think the thing with Fernandinho is I remember when Manchester City used to have no Rodri, and it was the start of the Pep era. Because I think if you see the stats here, I put the Jordan Henderson 2019-20 stats, which for
Mm,
me was his best season under Jurgen Klopp. So if you see his defensive stats, his 2.1 tackles per game, one interception, 0.6 clearances per game, 0.9 key passes per game, and 61.9 average passes. But the main thing I always see from a midfielder like Henderson, Fernandinho are the long balls per game. So Henderson used to have 4.2 long balls per game. His
yep.
overall dribbles and shots are, I think, you cannot compare Henderson, Fernandinho with goals and assists for me. It's more about the eye test of these two players. So I think with Henderson, when you see him properly, along with the leadership, Henderson has been a really calm presence for Liverpool. Especially, I think since Fabinho came, Henderson, and Wijnaldum used to be a very, very good player for Liverpool for 2 years until Wijnaldum left. And whenever
Yep.
Henderson was out, Liverpool used to struggle. Yes, nowadays Henderson is not the Henderson we know, but for the 3 years under Jurgen Klopp, 4 years, Henderson has been absolutely pivotal. Without him, they weren't surviving. Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum are three powerhouses of the Liverpool midfield. We used to give freedom to Salah, Mane, Firmino. Also used to give freedom to Trent and Robertson to absolutely bomb down the wings because you knew you had the protection of Henderson, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, who used to, like for Klopp's system, you need a lot of gegenpress, a lot of ability off the ball, a lot of effort off the ball, along with technical skills as well, finding a pass, getting out of the press. And I think Henderson is very underrated in this regard. But in the same way, I do think that Fernandinho is also a player whose leadership is very underrated because if you see his stats in the season when City was Centurions, I think and Hernandez stats, Henderson stats are not that different, if being very, very honest. Long balls, Fernandinho has 3.1 long balls per game, and in the clearances, tackles, it's not a big difference. But moving away from the stats, for me, if I see the eye test, Fernandinho was an absolute heartbeat of the City team. When he did not used to play, they had no DM. And you still see people criticizing Pep Guardiola for the great masterclass he put up in the final with no DM. I think Fernandinho was an absolute key for them to get out of the back because Fernandinho was not a DM like you can say strong DM, quick DM, tackling DM like English people like strong, Declan Rice type. He was technical. He can
Full
literally get out of
ability.
the press. Very technical. And same with Henderson. Henderson is also very technical player. And I think this is more hard question than the others are going to come because two are so underrated. They're not talked about. When you talk about Liverpool team, you talk about Mohamed Salah, you talk about Jota, you talk about Firmino, you talk about Van Dijk, Matip, Allison, nobody gives a mention of Henderson. City team is Kevin De Bruyne, Foden. Wow, man, these are beautiful creative players. Even Grealish is given mention, David Silva. You will
Yeah.
see mentions to Ruben Diaz, but no mention to the middle part. I think City will not have won the titles under if they had no Fernandinho under Pep, because Pep needs a DM that can be technically good and also has the ability to make interceptions, to run behind, and really Fernandinho used to have everything in his game and same with Henderson. But if I have to choose one, I will agree with you. I will go with Henderson because his game is a bit more all round. He can play box to box. He can also play a bit aside DM. And Henderson has a bit more flexibility, a bit more energy him about him that I do like a bit more. And his leadership, you can say yes, he edges Fernando in that regard. But just making a comparison, It's like this and this. Is lot. I won't be surprised. Some people say Fernandinho. If we have a poll, it can be 51-49, 52-48. But I will go with Henderson in that regard.
Right.
So, any final thoughts for you in this regard on this
Yeah.
topic?
There are many thoughts actually. So as I said, when it comes to you've been backing Fernandinho up in terms of the statistics that he's laid out for City. Look, you need to understand this when it comes to statistics, when it comes to technicality, you need to understand Fernandinho has been better than Henderson in the holder's role. But you need to understand if this is the center of the pitch, only the center of the pitch has been the baby for Fernandinho, right? In terms of the engine, being the team's engine and being the team's creator, I think Henderson has had a better, well-rounded role in those terms because he's covered more ground more easily. He's quicker than Fernandinho. He's always been quicker than Fernandinho. And during his heydays as well, I know Fernandinho was quick for 4 or 5 years, but in those days his technical ability was still good, right? It wasn't excellent. His with age, when he turned 27, 28, is the time when Fernandinho started being known for being a good holder of the game, right? For Jordan Henderson, the process has been longer, and he's been under the shadow of Steven Gerrard as well for major phases of his life. But you need to understand that his growth as a well-rounded player has been better than Fernandinho. When it comes to that, those few 20 yards, I agree Fernandinho is better than Jordan Henderson, no doubt about that. He's a Brazilian, a samba player. He's technically well adept to the game. Again, in that holder's role, I would any day still at this age, 37, I would still choose Fernandinho or Henderson in only that holder's role. That's all. But you need to understand Henderson gives you a more functional aspect of the game. He is a multi-dimensional player. You see more openings, you see more pivotal routes through Henderson. He's so it's just pretty easy for me to come down to the fact that leadership, well-roundedness, team leadership, ethics, morals, no controversies on the pitch. Not controversial at all. Fernandinho has still been involved with so many Chelsea backlashes, with Fabregas, with so many other players from Chelsea on the pitch. You've never seen any sort of mishaps or whatever stuff happening on the pitch from Henderson. I think it's just he's a very well-rounded and a very well ethically placed and a moral person. So yeah, I think I would give Henderson 9 out of 10 looking at the modern era game, and I would give Fernandinho 8.5 out of 10 because he's a legend of the game. So we shouldn't disregard his technical ability, but I do think Henderson gets point 0.5 above him. Call this the Liverpool bias, call this the Scousey bias, whatever you
No, I
guys
think
want.
you have been absolutely spot on. For me as well, you'll give Henderson like I think marks giving is very difficult. But as I always said, you will put Henderson here and Fernandinho. It is very difficult to say. I won't be surprised. Many people go with Fernandinho. Is that tight? These are two very underrated footballers that nobody wants to discuss about. Is Ronaldo Messi? It's this, it's that, it's Salah Hazard. But there's no debate about these underrated players
Yeah,
that go behind. These players don't have a goal and assist of 20 goals, 20 assists, the big dribbling ability, the running behind. But these players are so important and engine to the team that the
for
team
sure.
won't function without them. City will never have won the title Centurions without Fernandinho, and Liverpool would never have been this successful without Wijnaldum, Fabinho, and Henderson. So great
For
credit
sure.
to these two players, superb. But has Uday put it absolutely well? I will also go with Henderson. He has just too much in his game, and I'm sorry to say, Fernandinho just can is not fully like final product like Henderson has. Henderson just a bit more to his game, like one or two attributes more, which outpower him towards Fernandinho. So that was from me and Uday in regards to this answer. Going towards the next question today. And the next question is the biggest one, and then we'll go to a light one in the third one. That's also a tough one. This is Liverpool is a Chelsea fan. I'm a Chelsea fan. He's a Liverpool fan. And it's Trent Alexander Arnold versus Reece James. First of all, I will say two beautiful footballers, one of the best footballers to watch right now, along with Cancelo. And for the United fans, I'm sorry, but please not ever put Van Bissaka in this debate. Please, that should absolutely end.
Not
Even
even
Kyle
Diego
Walker
Dallo. Not even
and
Dallo.
Livramento are ahead of him. So coming, Uday brother, on this, I know you're a Liverpool fan, and in this, I will interrupt a bit in between because this is about Liverpool and Chelsea. So who will you prefer? I will also put the stats here as I've got. Who will you put up here, Trent or
You don't need to
James,
put the
and why?
stats. Okay, yeah. So jokes apart, I think I'm not going to give you the Liverpool bias here. I'm going to tell you this for a fact. I don't even need to look at the statistics, but yeah, it's good that you have them ready. Um, he has recently ventured into the top three fullbacks who have provided assists in the Premier League overall. Leighton Baines being 54 um, at the 54th point. Andy Robertson being at the 48th mark, and he is at the 45th mark. So he's the third most successful assist contributor in the Premier League, being a fullback. That's the first statistic, the first factor I'd like to give out there. Second, he's been nominated the PFA Player of the Year twice in a row, and he's been the most assist giver in those seasons itself, being again credible enough to win those trophies. Third, looking at the current season, I would consider that he is going to win this season as well. With he might win another accolade, but he's currently on 11 assists, and his role and Reese's role is very similar. They are attacking fullbacks. They have to attack. They have to overlap. They have to underlap. They need to provide key passes. They need to provide long balls inside the box. So it all matters when it comes to what attacking output is coming from these players. Let's talk about Reese for a moment. Reese James has been a player who's I would consider him to be a little more injury prone than Trent Alexander Arnold. Not looking at what happened in the recent past, but he's had many problems with his legs, and his defensive output has been better than Trent over the seasons. In the last season and in the I think last season itself. Um, but you need to understand this: Chelsea play with a back three, and you have wing backs playing for you. Liverpool play with two people on a high line, Van Dijk and Matip. So it's very obvious that the right side of the pitch is going to be there's going to be a huge gap. It is going to be left when it comes to Trent trying to cover that space. So when we see defensive output, Trent has improved this season massively. You've seen that in the past couple of games. He has not committed defensive errors at all. But I would give into this that okay, defensively Reese has been better than Trent last season. But overall, again, when it comes to attacking fullback, I think of Danny always. I think of Philip Lahm, who's been a little more conservative. I think of Roberto Carlos from the left. I think of Andy Robertson. These greats who are still playing. Some of them are still playing. Reece James doesn't strike a name in my head. He's not made a mark. He's not a great. He needs to establish himself. He's not uh, amongst the top pedigree of fullbacks that we have seen till now. I'll tell you another reason for that. Can you show me? Do you have his statistics?
Yeah, it's on
Overall
this. I
statistics.
put the region stats.
Yeah, no, not for this season. Overall statistics.
No,
For
overall I don't have.
has he been performing consecutively over the last couple of seasons? Have we
No,
seen
I
him
think
performing
no.
consecutively?
I think he has. See, he did perform. See, I think last season was his first full season because he was at loan at Wigan before, and I think in his
Yeah,
second season at Chelsea, I think Frank Lampard did not bring him early. It was Cesar Azpilicueta, and then slowly and slowly, I think James started to come in. Last
yeah,
season, I think I will say one thing. I don't agree with you saying Chelsea have a back three because Liverpool also have three midfielders defensively in Fabinho, Henderson, and Wijnaldum, which used to give you more protection. While Chelsea have Jorginho and Kante. So we have an extra centre back. You have an extra midfielder in the
no,
middle.
no, no, no. But you need to see this. You need to go on YouTube, see this. Fabinho and Henderson are still ahead. They're still on
Yeah, I
the
know they play a high
half
line.
line.
I understand that, but
Yeah,
sometimes at least when Trent absolutely bombs forward, if you see Liverpool right now, the current Liverpool matches, the last three, you might be seeing that Robertson has not been that attacking that he has been in the previous
he's been more
Liverpool eras.
conservative.
There's a bit more conservative now. I think I don't agree with overall trend is very bad defensively because if you see the stats now, if you
Yeah,
look at the stats defensively, it's not very far away. Defensively, it's not like James is here and Trent is here. I think the thing that I don't agree with why you are saying that James is not in the category is because I think James has talent in his feet. That I think overall, if you see the crossing ability, I think both of them are very good in that regards. There's no comparison between them two and the other people in the right back. Even Cancelo for me is very great, but the crossing ability of James
can,
and Trent is
yeah,
absolutely out of this world. The way they two cross. I think James has one thing over Trent in his game, that James Thomas Tuchel also played him in a back three, has a third centre back when we had to deal with Jimmy Vardy in the final. Now we lost the final, but Reece James was one of the better performers on the day when he absolutely kept Vardy quiet. So because of the body, his body is more stronger than Trent. I think we can agree on that. That he's built a bit more stronger than Trent in terms of the physique he has got. So he
Definitely,
handles.
no doubt
So I
about it.
think defensively he can handle that plays a lot, and his dribbling is a bit ahead of Trent. But I will say one thing: attackingly, Trent is miles ahead of him. His long balls, his key passes per game, everything is far ahead of James. James is more like, you can say, a second version of Trent who has to show it consistently. He has to develop every year. I think Trent's first debut came in 17-18 season, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong.
He
And
actually
it's,
came in 16, 17 also, but then he didn't play
yeah.
much. He played
So I think
only
it's
for 2 or 3 games.
Uday,
But
if I'm right, it's his third or fourth Liverpool regular season now as a starter.
so 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, fifth season,
Fifth
right?
season. So I think
You
with
need to
James, I think
understand. You need to understand the longevity, inconsistency has been there in Trent
hmm,
Alexander-Arnold. When did
exactly.
people start calling him a world-class fullback? They started
Hmm,
calling him a world-class fullback 2 seasons back. Why? Because he performed consistently in the last three seasons, recording that, right? So, um, and this is his fifth season, and even though last season he didn't give in those many assists, we know why. We know why. He was injured first. Liverpool's entire squad line was injured. You know that
hmm,
too. So it was Henderson and Fabinho were filling in the ranks for Van Dijk and Matip and Joe Gomez and all these fake people who were sitting on the bench injured.
hmm.
So Liverpool
I
were
think
in
I will.
shambles.
Uday,
And
I will just like to make one point. Like in statistically, like I said, that Trent is better overall in the
yeah,
game passing and ability. I think if you see the stats of these two players, Trent this season has played more games, and Trent has 11 assists in 26 games. That is magnificent. While James has a bit more less assists, he has 6 assists in 15 games,
but he has
but
more
he has
goals.
5 goals. So I think if you see these two right backs, I think James' scoring ability is. I think Trent has good free kicks and set pieces. I think if I have to take set pieces, then Trent is better than Reece. His set pieces are an absolute beauty. I think open play, I think James is better a shot power than Trent. His hitting
Mm,
ability is out of this world. I think crossing, I can say both of them have good crossing ability, but Trent's long passes are much more
yeah,
accurate and much more try than James does. So I think in passing ability, I will give Trent the upper hand. In terms of the set pieces, I will give Trent the upper hand. In terms of the crosses, I can say both are equal. So attackingly, I will say Trent has a more edge than James, while defensively, you can say James has a more edge than Trent. I do think I agree with your point that right now I won't say James is better than Trent because it's about longevity. But if in next 2 seasons also James continues performing like this, if next season he has 8 goals, 8 assists, and keep playing at this level, then after the season also he does well, then I think we can say that at that time comparison is very equal. But right now, as you said, longevity, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold has performed well for 5 years in a row now. He was a pivotal part in 17-18 as a young kid who came out of absolute nothing and showed how a right back has to play. Because I can tell you one thing, 5 years back, if we were having this show, I can guarantee you, me and Uday will be discussing the right back should only be defending and not attacking. Trent changed the mindset of people that right backs can attack. It was only Philip Lam, Denny Alves that used to attack. Other than
yeah,
that, if I can remember some great right backs, they used to have more skills tackling, more desire, aggression. The flair thing, like Trent has flair of Beckham. He has the quality of Beckham, De Bruyne in terms of attacking responsibility. Even James has these attributes. Even Cancelo has these attributes which he did not have 5 years back. 5 years back, people wanted to have Van Bissaka over Trent in their team. That's how the world has come absolutely crumbling down. Now nobody wants Van Bissaka in the team. That's how world has changed, and that's I think big responsible for that is Trent. And even I will say as a Chelsea fan, right now Trent is ahead of James. I will not have anything regard that. Trent is ahead of James. You should not be getting too much upper hand. James is better than Trent, blah, blah, blah. No, Trent is better, but James is very near. It's not like Trent here, James here. Just like Fernandinho, Henderson, this is a tight comparison, but on longevity, you have to say Trent. If Reece James continues proving like this, then yes, in 2 years' time, if me and Uday are again on this channel here, then I can we can say that yes, James might be better. But right now, I think even if defensively James is better, it's not like James is defensively here and Trent is here. It's not like you'll say James defensively is 10 out of 10 and Trent is 1 out of 10. That's not the case. So therefore, for me at the moment, it's Trent. But coming towards Uday on this topic, what's your final thought? And overall, on the point you make that James is not in the major part, What do you think he has to do that he proves you that he will be in that category?
Okay. Uh, Final points and final comments of mine would be first, you need to also consider the style of play. Um, why do you actually consider footballers like Joao Cancelo and Kyle Walker also to be one of the most prominent fullbacks out there? The reason being because of the style of play, very direct. They like playing direct football. Kyle Walker will rush towards the final third if he's given an opportunity. Trent wouldn't. Trent would still contemplate options in terms of looking at if that person's standing on horizontally to me. Can I give a horizontal pass? Can I give a vertical pass? Can I give an incisive pass? Kyle Walker's game is more of going towards the final third and trying to give crosses or passes whenever possible. So, in that aspect, Reese still needs to establish his hold. I know he's also pretty direct as a football. He's very direct. Given a fact, if he's 30, 35 yards out, he'll take a shot. Shot taking ability, Reese has come out to score more goals than Trent. And again, I'll give that to the system. You probably might think again that I'm not giving credit where it's due. That's not the case. The case is the system of football that Chelsea were playing was with a wing back role. But that is why Chilwell was also scoring so much. He was assisting so much before he got injured. You guys had your fullbacks being on the leadership charts in terms of the goal scoring. There was no attacker in that by November, December when you were leading the race, right? The title race. Because that was because your system was relying on the fullbacks, on the wing backs. Liverpool never wanted those wing backs to come into central positions and try to take shots from there. Obviously, when it comes to free kicks and all, I understand Trent is a master of free kicks as well. But Liverpool's game only revolved around staying on the tip of the box. Andy Robertson would overlap or maybe underlap. He liked underlapping a lot and giving in those long crosses. For Trent, it was pretty open. Trent was given that free role key. You go ahead and you want to overlap, you want to go into the final third, but you need to give a cross. It is the job for you to pass to Mohamed Salah or Sadio Mane. They have to shoot. They are going to be shooting. And you've seen Liverpool's plays have always been through Trent giving the passes to Mohamed Salah or someone or the other to take a shot. Uh, but I would still give this to Reese. I'll give a plus one to Reese for the shot taking ability. Because I've seen him taking shots. He's marvelous. He's amazing. But I wouldn't push Trent away from him. I would still consider him to be an equal, to be honest. Because Trent, given an opportunity any day, he can score from that far as well, man. You've seen if he can take free kicks from that far, I think he can easily score off an open play from that far. Uh, but yeah, I think if you consider Reese to perform in the next season and the season after that, if he gives us a good two-digit assist score or a one-digit assist score and a few goals, I'll consider him to be on par or still a notch below Trent because no one can punch weight the way Robertson and Trent have together. You need to also see the pair of fullbacks is considered to be the best in the world right now. Alfonso Davies was being considered the best when Bayern Munich were smashing people inside out in the Champions League last season. Uh, but right now, I think Trent and Robertson are the epitome of attacking plays from a fullback position. Reese needs to maybe find a partner or whatever it is. But we also need to consider the fact that you spoke about long plays, you spoke about long balls. What about switch off play? That also needs a vision, right? You need to spot your plays out. I think Trent also has a better vision at the moment
Yeah.
when it comes to switch off plays. You've seen he is someone who will all of a sudden change the game. He'll just pass it to anyone he feels like. So it's more about the system. I think if the system was a bit more reliant on, it was a little more reliant on the fullbacks, I think Reese would have had more space to, make better decisions.
So I think it's been like absolutely spot on for me as well. I've been also saying the same thing. That Trent's final output, I think, is overall in terms of passing. You just don't see GNA. You see his passing, his vision, his flair, his absolute thing. Like he absolutely finds the pass and the final output. His set pieces, I think, he's just a complete package, which James isn't right now, but he could be in the next 2 or 3 years. So now this is about Trent and James. Me and Uday both agree that Trent at the moment is ahead of James. Not far away, but he is ahead at the moment of James. And I think we should not have the debates that James is better. Enjoy the development. It's always not about being better than Trent. Both are great players. Enjoy their
Yeah.
development. and enjoy the way both are playing. So now we are moving on to the third question. But before that, please like and subscribe towards the content, and also go watch Loudmouth Show's Instagram channel. The link is given in the description below. Do subscribe, follow button on that. It's fantastic content. You'll enjoy listening to his views on football. He's a Liverpool fan, but he's also very neutral in regards to football opinions. So now moving on to the third topic today, and this is also a more interesting one. And this is Sergio Busquets versus Chelsea's Jorginho. And I think this is a very hard comparison. Both are very similar type of players. And I think I put the stats here when we'll go towards that. I put the Sergio Busquets season of 14-15, where Barcelona lifted the Champions League trophy. And I also put Jorginho's start of the Champions League 2020-21 season, which Chelsea won the trophy. Because you cannot compare both of these in the league stats. One is in the Premier League, one is in La Liga. I'm sorry, but you cannot compare the both leagues. Physically, Premier League is more harder than La Liga. So I think that did not make sense. So I have gone with the Champions League stats of both the players. And even if you put the stats aside, stats always don't give the proper picture. It's about the eye test. Both are very similar players, and it's hard to compare. So coming towards the guest today, Uday, from Sergio Busquets and Jorginho, which player you will love to have in your team and why?
Um, Look, I people make fun of Jorginho a lot. I feel bad for him sometimes, but even I used to make a lot of fun. I used to mock him like anything, even when he was being contested for winning the Ballon d'Or. Oh, that was too much. Okay, let's be honest. Winning the Ballon d'Or was too much for Jorginho. I understand that he's been scoring many penalties, he's been converting spot kicks, etc., etc. There's no comparison when you talk about Sergio Busquets and Jorginho. There is no comparison. Sergio Busquets is the god of the midfield. If you watch Sergio Busquets from the time he started playing for Barcelona, he's an academy product. Xavi was considered to be the generational passer. Sergio Busquets took over that regime in terms of being the passer, in terms of creating long passes, short passes. If you've seen how his game is, he is not a quick player, but he's an engine. He will give you 90 minutes of the game. He will run, he will create a fire or two anywhere he wants to. He will give you more than you would expect from Sergio Busquets. Even at this age, he's what, 33, 34, I think.
Hmm.
It's amazing how at his peak till the time he was 32, 31, 30, he is given his best football that we can see from a pivotal point of role. Positional football again, very positional football. Uh, he's a positional footballer, and even Jorginho, for that matter, was positional when it came to Napoli. He was very positional, but when it came to Chelsea, he sort of turned out into drifting into different parts, and he plays a little ahead. Then he does try to come behind, but I think Kante does a better positional job sometimes than
No.
Jorginho
I
does.
think positional. I think Jorginho is still very positional. I think
Yes.
sometimes what happens is Kante being there, sometimes he can drift forward to make that pass, like in the Newcastle game. Because I think when we play against the low blocks, then I think Jorginho can be anywhere in the field. Because you need a Jorginho pass to be able to get them down. One thing I will show say is I think I agree with you in that because even I will have Busquets a bit over Jorginho because you have said he has been superb. People have to watch football before. He was absolutely superb in the Luis Enrique team. That Luis Enrique team was in beauty. But with Jorginho, we also need to have a bit more thing and sympathy in regards to this Chelsea squad he came in. Busquets had one of the best Barcelona squad to start his career with. Jorginho came to Chelsea and he was partnered with Kovacic Barkley as a midfield. He had Higuain, Willian Pedro as a front three, with Eden Hazard sometimes also playing there, and then he left. And in the back four, it used to be David Luiz, Rudiger, Marcus Alonso, Cesar Azpilicueta, and Kepa Arrizabalaga as a goalkeeper. So statistically, it was always difficult. We haven't seen Busquets in the Premier League. When Premier League is very hard physically, he was superb in the Italian league, Jorginho. Because if you put the comps out, compilation that today's kid always make 2 minutes compilation, you will never come to conclusion. In a compilation, I can make Ross Barkley look like Lionel Messi. That's never the case of you watching compilation and making a conclusion on that. But if I see Jorginho and his overall thing, now I'm going to bring a startup here with Jorginho. I'm so sorry. With Jorginho, if you see, now Jorginho is criticized by Chelsea fans because Chelsea fans are absolutely, oh, give me Declan Rice. He's so good. He's so strong. Now, guys, please. Jorginho is humiliated on his body. His pictures of beach are put there and his stomach is shown to be very thin and people laughed at it. You should be ashamed. Just see the stats up here. He might not be your quickest player. He might not be your most fastest player, strongest player. You don't need to be strong. You need to have an IQ on the pitch like he and players like Busquets have. Both are not quick. Both cannot run like Kante. Now, Kante is a very different midfielder to them. I'm just giving an example here.
for
Now,
sure.
if you see his tackles and interception, he has in Champions League campaign last year, he had 2.2 tackles per game. He had 2.2 interception per game. And I think this is a big case of Jorginho that he makes interception. Yes, with the Sancho goal, if you remember this season, he has a streak in him that he makes some awful mistakes and then he cannot recover. And the same is with Busquets even. If Busquets loses the ball, he's not going to recover. We all know that. But it's about the class of these two players, the way they bring the opposition to play. These two are darlings or managers like Pep Guardiola because these players are very technical in the play they do, more like Regista
Yeah.
and everything. So Uday, coming on here on Jorginho, like I made the comparison in regards to the team not being very similar. Busquets had one of the best Barcelona squad to start his career, and then when it became absolutely ridiculous, even his performances started to decline a bit. If I'm being honest here, and
But Busquets game, he's been a little erratic as of late, right? And he's also aged a lot. You need to understand Jorginho and
Jorginho is
Busquets
also
have a different.
30. Jorginho
Huh?
is 30 as well.
Jorginho's what? He's 30, right?
Yeah.
Busquets is a little older than him. I think he was 33, 34, somewhere around that
Hmm.
region, right? So I think even when you're 30, I think you'll play your best game, right? It's in the later stages when you start declining. Uh, but tell me honestly, when did Jorginho surface with Napoli under Sari? When did he surface? When? How long was that ago?
I think it was a 17-18 season.
Yeah, he was. How old was he that time? He was 26, 25.
Yeah, 26, 26, 25 around, I believe.
But where was he before that age? When he was 18, 19, 20, 21,
I think
22?
he was at Hellas Verona, if I'm
Yeah.
right.
But was he considered a good footballer then?
But I think, Uday brother, on this, if I have to make a comment, some players are late bloomers in their life. Some come into their life late.
Exactly. But you need to understand Sergio Busquets also enjoyed his time of playing football for a decade or more than that for Barcelona, one of the most, and he's won more accolades. He's won Champions League under Barcelona. He's won La Liga. He's won so many accolades. And
But Jorginho has won Champions League already to his name, a Europa League to his name,
yeah,
already an FA Cup to his name. And if, let's say, Chelsea recruit well next season and we go and win the Premier League, then he will. If you see the accolades, I think with the accolades thing, that's where the Ballon d'Or thing. Even I did not agree. I understand that why you have said that, but on the, I think Jorginho was there because of the accolades, because his accolades was absolutely ridiculous. Like winning with Italian team the Euros and with Chelsea the Champions League. And I think he and Kante had a big part for us to reach there because I think he and Kante were just immense in the Champions League campaign. He, Mount, Havertz, these four players were just ridiculous in the last six matches in the Champions League. We destroy Real. I think it also showed that how much Real are far behind us in the midfield. Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic absolutely destroyed Real Madrid midfield. And I think I agree with you on Radagast. I will have Busquets over him. Busquets has been more, you can say, longer. But Jorginho has, you have said it very, very well, still has 3 or 4 year tank left in him to
yeah,
still show his level. So if you see that far, is it too much to differentiate between them or are they too equal?
bro, they cannot be equal, man. Like I don't want to be rude here, but I don't never, man. I would never consider such Sergio Busquets being compared to Jorginho, and we need to consider a little more than this. I know I've seen him play in Syria. I have. He's been known for his creation as well. Key passes. He used to give in many key passes inside the final third. He used
Hmm.
to give in deflated balls. He used to give in
Yeah.
faded balls, long balls. I've seen Jorginho's game. He's pretty good. He was good at that, but he wasn't physical enough, wasn't quick enough. Defensive action was poor in comparison to Sergio Busquets. Sergio Busquets is known to break lines. Jorginho has never been known to break lines. For a matter of fact, in the past 2 seasons, I have seen so many times myself on the television. Jorginho is being surpassed by anything, like anything, and
Yeah.
we need to we
Agree.
need to we need to see this for a fact. We need to see this. Goal scoring saved him. What if he wouldn't have scored those many goals?
No, no,
Would
no,
he
no,
have?
no. I think this is, I think where you're going wrong.
No,
I
no,
think
no. This is
goal scoring,
hear my opinion. Hear my opinion out. It's not your opinion I'm judging on. It's the Ballon d'Or nominee that he got. I think goal scoring saved him there. Just hear my opinion, okay? Uh, Busquets was the number six, ideal number six you'd want to play with because he was mirroring your defense. He was also tracking back at the same time. He had more endurance in him to play the 90 minutes across the field. If you want to compare the distance that both of them covered, let's do that also. I think that'll give us a better clarity in terms of who's been more there for the team. Um Jorginho, Look, I know he's underrated. He definitely is because I have seen him performing um, in the Euros as well. He was amazing next to Virati. They were playing some amazing football, and he was a little more progressive also in the Euros. So I think, um, you'd be doing a little injustice when you come to when you're trying to create an analogy between Sergio Busquets and
No, no,
Jorginho.
no. You've taken me
Maybe,
wrong.
maybe,
I've
yeah,
said that Busquets is better than Jorginho. What I'm trying to say is I think the era they started in, like, I think Ballon d'Or thing, I'd absolutely disagree with you. I'm so sorry because I don't think that goals edged him. I think it was the trophies that edged Jorginho towards the Ballon d'Or 3 because if you have a Euro, if you have a Champions League trophy, and that Ballon d'Or always takes trophies into account, I think that was the only way Jorginho got 3. He would not have got 3 if he did not win the Champions League. There's nothing to goals in that. I think it was more to do with the trophy that he won. If I think I can be very honest, if he missed that penalty and Saka and Rashford put the penalty in and England would have won the Euro, he would not be in the top five. He was in the top five because the honors he won. But I think one thing I have to say is like, I think I don't agree with that one that he does not track back. I think with Jorginho, at some points, I've also thought, oh my God, he has been absolutely surpassed by this guy. But then I see him in the Champions League matches. He has always been at the right moment available. He has not shown running, but at the right moment, he has made the right interception at the right time. When he came to Chelsea, he used to make a lot of long passes, but we had great Higuain and Morata up there, absolutely throwing the chances away. So I think his stats also could have been better in regards to assists, not goals in assist. And overall, I think Jorginho's defensive things are misplaced a lot. Even Sergio Busquets, he's better defensively than Jorginho, but he was not too quick. Even Busquets is not too quick that he can absolutely get back. You can see he's more smart. But Jorginho is also very smart in my regard. When I watch him at Chelsea, he does track back. He does be in the right position at the right time whenever we require him. In the Champions League, in the Real Madrid matches, whenever Real had an attack and they were in the box, boom, Jorginho makes a tackle and bends him and win the ball back. So I think that thing I disagree. I still say Busquets is better than Jorginho. But I will just say one thing. Let's say in if we see on accolades, I think in the next 4 years I won't be surprised with the Barcelona state they are in that Jorginho
yeah.
equals his
Leave
tally.
leave the accolades also. Leave
Yeah.
it.
I think in technical ability also, I think we have to see more 4 years of Jorginho and the stats he can accumulate. Because
Yeah,
now he has no excuse. Now Chelsea team is very, very good. It's not the old pathetic Chelsea team with Kovacic, Barkley, Higuain. There's players like, you can say, good players like Lukaku, even if he's played pathetically bad. There are players like Havertz, Pulisic, Mason Mount. He has also got one of the best midfield partner along with him in Kante, Kovacic.
exactly.
Kovacic has been,
I was going to come to that point. You
I think
know,
this season he has no excuse. Next season he has no
yeah,
excuse because
we're,
these are some
you
very
need to
beautiful
understand.
players.
I'm sorry, I'm butting in. Just one point I wanted
No,
to
sure.
add was, imagine if you're playing next to N'Golo Kante, who's been running the entire 90 minutes. He's running ahead, back, everywhere. He's playing on the wings. He's playing as a number 9. He'll do whatever he wants to, right? N'Golo Kante is very technically adept and very talented, extremely talented. Imagine you have got a footballer like him next to you who intercepts also. Who intercepts more than I think Jorginho. If you pull up Kante's stats, I
Yeah,
think defensive action will be better than Jorginho's.
is way
So
better.
yeah. So I mean, if you've got a world class defensive mid playing next to you, you should be also playing little better than that, right? That's my point. If imagine if he was playing in a midfield of McTominay, maybe that's something we need to see, right? McTominay, Fred, or maybe even in a Liverpool midfield. See, Fabinho doesn't get the support of anyone in terms of that number 6 spot. Sergio Busquets never got the support of anyone. But Jorginho got the support of either Kovacic is conservative or Kante is conservative when it comes to when you guys play maybe a 3-4-3 or you
Yeah,
play sometimes play 4-2-3-1 also. You know, you got these two midfielders who are there. Mason Mount provides those guns. Pulisic, you got pacey footballers. Chelsea is a very young, thriving, vibrant club. You got so much pace. So I think when it comes to ground coverage, you got a leverage, you got an advantage. So Jorginho should be doing much better. Look, when it comes to passing, long passing, maybe I'll give him a chance. But what I saw in Napoli was much better than what I saw in
yeah.
Chelsea, to be honest.
But I think Napoli. I think why I can agree with you on that regard, and that point I was coming to on this one is I think if I have to end my opinion on this one, I think you put it so well. That is Napoli time was better than Chelsea. But I think if I remember the Napoli team, they underwent a 3 year transition. They
Hmm.
had Lorenzo Insigne, if I can remember, Callejon at the right, and I think they used to have Mertens at the left.
Mertens,
So
Rio
Mertens,
Mertens.
Insigne, Callejon, and that was a proper passing football team. One touch, one touch, one touch, one touch, straight away into the goal. I think
Yeah.
with Jorginho, I think you put it very, very well. I think with Busquets also, we cannot see these things. See, we cannot compare a player when we put him with players like McTominay. You cannot compare in Busquets. We really appreciate Busquets because he was in the great Barcelona team. And even that Barcelona team used to have players like Rakitic, players like Messi, Neymar, and overall thing. And he performed magnificently well for 5 or 6 years. And now we appreciate him. In this comparison, I only made this comparison. I know Busquets is better than him right now. I myself know that. I only made this comparison because I know these both attributes are same. These both players are same types. Yes, one is better than other, but I think this is the best comparison to make because you cannot compare Jorginho with Fabinho. Different players, different profile. I think Jorginho is very near to Busquets because style is very same of these two players. But one thing I will do love to say in this regard is Jorginho's, you can say, best performance in Chelsea shirt has come last season in 2021 season. So big up to Prasanna here. Please subscribe to his channel. Great content. And with Jorginho, as I was going on, Jorginho's best season at Chelsea came in 2020-21 season when he had
Yep.
players like Pulisic, Havertz, Mount, Kante along with him. Because before that, it was Kante, Barkley, Kante, Kovacic. It never worked.
Yep.
He was given the best Chelsea team since he has come in, and he performed well last year. Now, yes, I do want to see how Jorginho does at the end of this season. How does it does next season? How does it does after that? And then I can say yes, is he better than Busquets or not? Right now, Sergio Busquets was, and will be better than Jorginho right now. But Jorginho is not far. We just have to see consistency. For me, we are only saying Busquets is better because of we've seen him for 6, 7 years. From
Right. True.
2014 to 2020, we have seen Busquets for 7 years performing at an insane level. With Jorginho,
Exactly
if I
my
be
point.
honest,
You
we are seeing
he's far off. Jorginho is very far off from that. You need to
yes,
see
far off. But that's what point I'm trying to make. I'm saying they are very similar players in attributes.
they
In
are
terms of
they are
attributes, both are not far, both are not
they're
quick,
similar.
both are not very box to box midfielder, both attributes are same. I think this comparison is to make that like can we see Jorginho in next 3 or 4 years surpassing that? That could be the question that I think could be best put. For me, Busquets is better right now, but I don't think Jorginho is very far away. It's just about can he continue this? Can he continue last season performances and put it consistently? Can he win another Champions League at Chelsea and he could be a big pivotal player of that? He
Yep.
has got the opportunity this season. Prove it against Real, against Cruz, Modric, Casemiro. Beat
Yep.
Manchester City in the semi-final, and then let's see what we do against Liverpool in the final.
For sure. I agree with that on you. I just want to show you something. Okay, there's
Yeah,
something. So I'll share it with you in a while.
yeah.
I just want to say something when it comes to footballers. Um, Fernandinho, Henderson, you compared them. Okay, it was like this cutthroat competition, cutthroat comparison. When it came to Trent and Reese, it was also cutthroat, like part, right? But when it comes to Busquets and Jorginho, I would disagree there. Because it is too far off. This is like a massive spit on his legacy. So, not coming from you. I'm just saying footballers and fans might take us to be little more, like that this is unfair in terms of thinking that okay, it's good that we are at least trying to discuss this, that we have some sort of a comparison maybe between both these footballers. But for me, I would never do that. I would never compare Sergio Busquets with Jorginho. Maybe I'll maybe take I'll pick up Jorginho and I'll consider him to be better, or maybe in par with the likes of Thomas Suchek, or
No, no, no,
maybe
no, no. I think Thomas Duquette. No, 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 no. I think this is you're going too far. First of all, Such is a very different type of player. I think Such is a defensive player who is known for his physicality. I think this is where you're taking Jorginho too down. No, I do agree with you. Legacy of Busquets is too ahead of Jorginho.
yeah.
But I think one thing I will say, if we see right now, at least right now,
Sorry.
33-year-old Busquets, 32-year-old
Yeah,
Busquets, right now, last 2, 3 years.
yeah,
Last 2, 3 years, I think Jorginho has edged him in the last 2 years at least.
yeah.
For that, I think you cannot deny that last 2 years, Jorginho has edged Sergio Busquets. And for me, even
He has edged.
Sergio,
Okay, no, last 2 years he has edged, but overall,
yeah,
bro, like
yeah, I'm
you
not
know,
disputing. Why I wanted to have this conversation is I think these two players are very similar. Like with
yeah,
Trent and James, I don't agree it was cutthroat. I think Trent has more legacy right now in terms of what he's done than
yeah,
James. But you can say that James is a very similar player to Trent. His
yeah,
attributes are very similar to Trent. With Fernandinho, Henderson was more equal. I think right now I cannot find any player that I can compare with Jorginho because every player is different type. Now, if I
yeah,
compare Jorginho and Rodri, on physicality, Rodri wins. On other
yeah,
aspect, we can say Jorginho wins. If I pick up Fabinho for me is a whole package. I will have him over Jorginho, and I love Jorginho bits. If I
yeah,
go to those other players in the Premier League, Manchester United, I'm sorry, I'm not having anyone. Then I go
Yeah,
to Tottenham Hotspur, pathetic midfield. Then I go towards Arsenal, not at the level. Zaka, Jorginho is no comparison.
yeah,
So if you see other real football world right now, there are not many players you can compare to Jorginho right now in the role he plays. If I'm
yeah.
being very honest in terms of the football world, you cannot compare Casemiro because Casemiro attributes are very different to
Yeah.
Jorginho. So the only player I can think of is
No,
Barcelona,
but Casemiro has a similar role to Sergio
but I
Busquets.
think he's more physical than Jorginho in what he does.
But that's because he's physically stronger. Jorginho is frail. He's not a physically strong person. You need to
No,
understand
no,
that
but
too.
don't you agree that Casemiro plays in a Real where I think they are not excessively possession team. He's a bit more. Sometimes he tries to run forward as well. He does a bit of Kante role
True.
as well. That he
But
could be everywhere on the field.
true. So that's something. That's a bonus attribute, right? I would consider it to be a bonus. You need to understand Sergio Busquets and Casemiro both are number six focal players, positioning maestros.
Hmm.
Jorginho, the reason why I didn't call Jorginho positional player was because he drifts here and there,
No, this is
and
where I disagree.
he's got his positional presence. I know that, but I'm trying to compare him. I call players positional only when they're masters of positions. Like Fabinho, the master of position. Like like who's mastered his position. Like I wanted
Hmm.
to share something with you. Please go ahead. I think you were trying to say something. In the
Yeah,
meantime,
what I was
yeah,
trying to say is I think with this I disagree that is positional because I think it's only in this season that some party has done that when Chelsea have had a bit of injuries. Because if I remember that Thomas Tuchel in his first reign, Jorginho always be used to be back and Kovacic was the one who was making the dribbles ahead. It was Kante who was running with the ball ahead. And when Sari came at Chelsea, he was a register role. He only used to sit above the defense, make the
yeah.
passes, and he used to help us play from the back. So with that only I disagree that at some point, yes, he's drifted. But I think it's more to do with the low block teams that we have seen in the Premier League. But if you see him against Real Madrid, the bigger matches, he has never ever drifted away from his position. He has always been intact above the defense because Thiago Silva or Jorginho are one of the biggest Chelsea ball players who help us play out of the back. So only with this position I disagreed. Yes, you can see he's not a specialist. That's a different thing. But I think positionally, I think he has also been, he plays what Busquets does at Barcelona, not as perfectly, not as perfectionist as Busquets is, but his role is very similar because for me, Barca have been always a possession-based side. Beautiful football, one-touch football. And in Napoli, he's played the same football under Sari. Sari used to follow the same philosophy. And then you can say at Chelsea also, Tuchel is not a Sari, but Tuchel is not a Mourinho. Tuchel has a bit of mid-between. He's pragmatic, but has well left to play a bit more possession-based like German managers do. So with that only,
Hmm.
I disagreed with you. But other than that, I think you have been spot on. So on the final part on this, Uday brother, you're having Busquets over Jorginho, as I believe. And the final reason for you, why, and the reason for that?
Again, I think he's an ideal number six. He's a number six that you can rely on. Again, I didn't talk about his aerial prowess, better aerial ability than Jorginho. Passing, I would still give him better. I would still call him legendary man. Passing, when it comes to Sergio Busquets, been a better passer than Jorginho in the long run. Interceptions, defensively created a screen, a pivotal role is what he needed to play. He played it. Better positioning than Jorginho, better in positional presence than Jorginho. Might be a positional player, but he's got a better positional presence, better awareness. Um, so I think I think that's why I would actually rate him. He's not a player who can give you passes, high flying passes into the final third. Maybe he might have done it on very rare occasions, but he's a player who can provide those key passes for you to take out teams. Um, Jorginho, on the other hand, he's been there also near the final third, outside it, maybe trying to provide a pass or two, and that too on a rare presence. We saw that in Euros. We saw that him doing that in Euros, right? Playing the role of a number eight sometimes. Virati and Jorginho started playing number eight, and they started tracking back also. So it was a good thing that I saw from him. That's what I liked about him. He changed his role because the system and the team changed. So I would say that I've seen Jorginho in different team setups and he knows how to adapt to a system. He does know that. Okay, but can I share something with you on this?
Yeah, sure.
Can you see the screen?
Just one, yeah, I can see that. I'll add it to the stream just a second. Uh, yeah, this one?
Yeah, okay, the one I'm using.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so imagine this is Busquets. Okay,
Hmm.
so Sergio Busquets' place there. The thing with him was that PK, Puyol, and Danny always used to be here. Uh,
Uh,
the left.
Jordi Alba?
Yeah, the left back used to be here. So there was this attacking presence that they had, and even this guy was very attacking. The thing with Busquets was he was so good. He had complete control in this zone of the pitch. Okay, with Jorginho, the thing is, I've seen him getting into this position. Obviously, Chelsea are playing on a high line sometimes, so I've seen him getting into this position, and then for him to come back is a task because he's not aware in certain phases of the game. And then when he's in this position, also I've seen so many teams uh, coming here and establishing a role in terms of going and trying to get past him. So it's easy to get past him also. Like in terms what I've seen in my 15 years of the gameplay, watching as a spectator, I've seen this. That's why I my eyes would only consider Sergio Busquets to be there. I don't know if he would have performed well in the Premier League. I would choose to believe so, but what we have seen him, both of them playing, I would still give him, a rank higher. And when you talk about Trent, let's do the comparison of Trent. Trent likes passing from here, crossing from here.
Yeah.
The thing with Reese, Kyle Walker, Joao Cancelo, they like getting more central.
Hmm.
Their
Inverted type.
short taking is better, right? Uh, so for Trent also, I agree. Trent's short power is not better than Reese's. Reese has some massive beastly short taking ability. I know that. So I would actually say that Reese James is better in that aspect. But thanks for letting me share this.
Yeah, no problem,
And
absolutely. And I think with that, I think we end the three topics today. Final conclusion that I think in the first topic, we both agree that Henderson edges Fernandinho. On the second one, I think again, it was very respectful, very nice, and it was again Trent being over. In the third one, it got a bit hated. And for me,
yeah,
I will
yeah,
still have Busquets over, but I don't think there's a big difference. But in regards to Uday, I think he thinks there's a big difference. So I think on 3 years' time, 2024, we'll have this chat again in that regards. Is Jorginho better or Busquets better? But right now, I think there's no debate in that regard. But I
hmm,
will do say that both our players are very similar and both have done fantastic job. And again, Sergio Busquets is not spoken about enough for what he has done. It's always about Messi and everything. You have to speak more about these players. And with Jorginho as well, Chelsea fans need to buckle up and stop this Rice thing. What Jorginho does, he has to be respected. With Declan Rice, you will have a good defensive awareness, but you won't have technical ability that Jorginho has. So fans also need to understand that and respect the players. So today's comparison was again, as I always said, fantastic comparisons. Today, Trent James is the most, you can say, popular one, so that was not a big surprise. But I think Henderson, Fernandinho are players I think you should appreciate, and Busquets, Jorginho are players you appreciate. These are the comparisons we never make, we never talk about. When we talk about midfielders, is Paul Pogba, is this, is that, is assists and goals. We are just forgetting that what a class footballers are in eye test, and I think that's the difference between today's generation and the previous. We used to see players on eye test, and today is just about
yeah,
GA. And I think that interrupts me as well. I When you see some Arsenal fans saying Didier Drogba was not good, you have to say that this generation, in terms of the way they analyze football, is not good. You cannot look
yeah,
at stats and say he got 11 goals and Jamie Vardy got 20 goals, so he's better. Please stop that. You go watch 2005, 6, 7 seasons, 9, 10 seasons, and you'll know why Drogba is better. So in that regards, this video ends in terms of what comparison we did. It was an absolute honor for me to have today's guest with me, Uday from the Loudmouth Show. Fantastic. Go subscribe to his Instagram channel. Fantastic up there. So final thoughts today on how everything went and what's
I
coming
think
on a channel and overall things.
I think our last conversation got a little we didn't agree with one another, but I think uh, I think we belong to two different generations as well. I think you are from Generation Z. I belong to the Generation Y. I think our way of watching sport. You're a very good analyzer. I've seen you on other content as well. You're a very good analyzer. But when it comes to seeing players from that generation and this generation, I think we see them little differently, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing. I respect your opinions, and I think it's always very positive to disagree also on certain things. So I think has been a very good discussion, and I look forward to having you on my show as well. And yeah, and I think you should definitely subscribe to Shrey FC. I think he comes up with the best content, which you will hardly get to see from Indian footballing vloggers. If you like watching content in English, do subscribe to this channel because English has been the epitome of international communication, and we should respect that language a lot. And Hindi हमारी राष्ट्र भाषा है हमारी भारत माता की जय. But still, I think, irrespective of all this, I think you should subscribe to Shrey FC. And he's a Chelsea supporter, and he's a very enthusiastic and an avid football watcher. So I think, yeah, do subscribe, and we had a great time together.
So thank you so much today to be here. And always I will say with guys, disagreement is the best part of life. Disagreement have to happen. You cannot agree on everything, but you need to be respectful in life. Enjoy like we did today. We disagreed, but we had opinions. We talked respectfully. And again, I will always say these comparison always good to do. It's just being respectful and enjoy. I enjoy myself with today. You can say a person who is watching football more than me in more years. So I got a new perspective in life. I've also talked to Ankit and everything, people who have watched football from 2000, 1999. So it gives me more like how they see football, and it only increases my knowledge. So in that way, always have opinion. Football is a global sport. This is why we love this sport, that you meet new people. So always be kind, always be understanding, and do enjoy watching
Yep.
everything. And thank you everyone for watching. Hope you have a great day. And thank you, Uday, to be here. Great day, everyone.